I'm Russell Beard in Kenya's Rift Valley, where a grassroots project is safeguarding the country's future forests.
And I'm Juliette Pearce in Australia to find out how to grow tomatoes with salt water.
I'm Sharita Hutton in California, where one man's vision of urban forest is transforming a city.
And I'm Sinead O'Shea, and I'm in Oslo to see the city of the future.
Kenya's forests badly need a boost. After years of exploitation, indigenous trees cover less than 2% of the country, causing soil problems, flooding and habitat loss. Where farmers do plant trees, they plant fast-growing exotics, which is good news for their bank balance, but bad news for Kenya's biodiversity. I'm Russell Beard, and I've come to Kenya's Rift Valley to meet a couple who are on a mission to set the country's forests on the road to recovery. Hi, Kenya. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Thanks for having us. Hi, Helen.
Hi.
How are you?
Very
nice
well.
to meet you. Hi.
This hill, 20, 30 old years ago, was a wooded olive, acacia, cedar forest. But the general populace have used it for timber, for firewood, for charcoal, basically to get funds to send their children to school and for them to live and to eat.
The road is a bit bumpy around here.
Well, it's because of the soil erosion, you know, because this used to be a forested area. Now you get a lot of water runoff coming off, and in the rainy season, this whole road becomes a swampy river. There's a dried spring just down here, and basically that has dried up because of the deforestation. In the dry season, if you come here, it will be totally, this will just dry up completely. You'll get nothing. Yeah, this will disappear. And that's because you've killed the major trees, these big trees. These big acacia trees are very good for pulling up water.
This deforestation has not only killed the spring, it's transformed the entire ecosystem.
You're getting the emergence of the euphorbias,
Yeah.
which is more of a desert plant.
It's a magnificent specimen, it just shouldn't be here. So it's an indicator that something's imbalanced, that
Yes.
something's going wrong.
Something is going wrong.
Just a few kilometers away is an untouched indigenous forest.
This is protected land. The landowners protected it as a water source. Different species of trees here. I think there you've got a Bourgeia ugadensis.
He's off, he's clearly in his element here.
Yeah. Ekbergia capensis over there. Teclair delvanorum over here.
You can see that this is an entirely different environment to the
Correct.
last spring. And you're telling me that that last spring used to feel like this?
Used to feel like this. This is how
Okay,
it would
wow.
have been. The leaves are degrading back into the soil, so you're getting that rich forest humus. So the seeds drop into here, and they germinate back into big, giant trees.
I think for most people who think about like successful reforestation projects, like the ones that Kenya really needs, they would be imagining a forest like this.
Yes, this is what they would imagine an indigenous forest to look like.
Yeah.
But this would take years,
Yeah.
years for it to actually come up.
Leaving indigenous forests to regenerate naturally is just not viable for most farmers. So Kenya and Helen Mutitso are developing a new model. They're encouraging landowners to mix slow-growing native trees with fast-growing exotics. Over the years, the fast-growing trees are harvested for their fuel and timber needs, while the slow-growing natives are left to mature.
The farmer now is able to generate a revenue from a standing tree, instead of the tree being used for fuel wood or construction material.
And as you'll see if you look up,
To learn more about some of those non-timber uses, the best place to go is Helen in Kenya's nursery.
I think every single indigenous tree in Kenya, with virtually no exceptions, has some sort of medicinal use. Out there, this is the Moringa oleifera. This has got 18 out of 20 amino acids that we need. You dry the leaves and make into a powder, and you mix it with porridge and things like that. This is African wild olives. You can also use it as a toothbrush. Now how you clean your teeth. You can eat the whole leaf of that. You can eat that while we're walking on. You can try a little bite of that leaf. I'm going to make you eat another leaf, yes. A lot of the indigenous fruits are not transportable. What we are looking at is, can we now dry them or make extracts from them, concentrates, things like that. And that's another part of the research and development department.
To help locate endangered trees and protect them as viable seed sources, African Forests have recruited the help of Kenya's many Boy Scouts.
Eventually what we want to do is actually form an atlas of trees, not just for this area, but eventually the whole country.
And by continuing to develop their non-timber products, they hope to convince more farmers to choose indigenous trees as an ecologically viable cash crop.
The farmer will benefit from increased rainfall, improved soil fertility, reduced soil erosion. There's a number of ways they'll profit environmentally. So we just need to look at what the planet's needs are, the people's needs are, and how we make a profit.
But for African forests to grow, they need the right seeds. Nice. Good man. Thank you. Okay, so what's the plan?
We are going to search the seeds.
Going to find the seeds.
Yeah.
Which particular seeds are we looking for today?
We are looking for Wabugi ugandensis.
And this is what you do? You're a seed collector?
I'm a seed collector. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is a bit spooky. There's no trees here.
Yeah, there's no tree.
Why is there no trees?
Our ancestors just cut all the trees here.
It's quite sad, really, just emerging out of that tunnel and just every one of the trees is gone.
Here's a tree.
Which one? Oh, I see this one.
Yeah.
Looks like we found our tree.
Warbag.
Warbag.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's half of the battle. Bark from the greenheart, Wabugia ugandensis, is a proven remedy for many ailments, from stomachache to skin diseases. And which ones do you take? Any ones?
What we do,
Uh-huh.
we just shake this one.
All right, so I guess we just roll our sleeves up, we get in the river and scoop them out. Okay, well, are you happy, Speed? Happy?
I'm very happy.
So I guess that's it. We're back to the Seed Centre for African Forests to dry them out and hopefully play our little part in safeguarding the future of Kenya's forests.
Australia is the world's driest inhabited continent, and in the past decade, farmers have been struggling with severe drought and unpredictable weather. I'm Juliette Pearce, and I'm in South Australia to visit a company that's come up with a new way to grow food, using abundant resources of seawater and sunlight. Located on the arid stretch of land bordering the Spencer Gulf in Port Augusta lies Sundrop Farms. There's the greenhouse. This sustainable greenhouse is now in its second successful season of tomatoes and capsicums.
Hey Juliette, how are you? Welcome to Sundrop Farms.
Thank you. So Philip, why did you come up with this idea?
In agriculture, which uses about 70% of the world's fresh water supplies, we're starting to face shortages in water. Greenhouses are more water efficient than growing in the field. The issue with greenhouses is that they're very energy intensive. So the reason we came up with Sundrop Farms is to address the water and the energy component head on.
Sundrop does that by making use of the area's most abundant renewable resources, sun and seawater. Is there a benefit to the shape of these?
Yes, most definitely, yeah. The shape is in such a way that it tracks the sun over the day, and every ray of sun that hits the mirrors is then focused on this tube. In the tube you have thermal oil. The oil is then sent through a piping system to finally heat up the water in the heat storage tanks.
The thermal oil heated by the sun is pumped to a heat engine where it converts seawater to steam. This drives turbines which generate enough electricity to provide Sundrop with most of its electricity needs.
That equals to 1,000 light bulbs, which is more or less 50 households.
That's a lot.
Yes.
Secondly, the hot oil heats more seawater, which is piped directly into the greenhouse to provide heat through the cold desert nights and winter days. More seawater, also heated by the oil, enters the desalination plant where it condenses to form distilled, salt-free water which the plants need in abundance.
It's a bit like your bottle from your fridge. If you take it out of your fridge and you put that on the kitchen table and condensation forms on the side, that's what we mimic here as well, but a bit more efficient.
10,000 litres of water is needed each day to feed the greenhouse, but that's a tenth of what's needed in traditional farming.
So this is the purest water you can get. Oh.
Thanks.
Very nice.
You have to say that. What's great about this process is that after desalination, you're left with brine, and brine's salt and chemicals. And all of this is actually recycled and put back into the agricultural industry. Hi, Dave, you're the head grower?
That's right, how are you?
Good, thank you.
That's good. I'll just get you to sanitize your feet here.
Wow. Is it a horticulturalist's dream to work in this environment?
Well, you know what? The great benefit of having a closed structure like a greenhouse is you're able to control the climate, you can control the level of insects and diseases much better than you would with traditional farming.
Okay.
Whoa.
Sorry. Whilst my lack of trolley control is obvious, every element of production is a fine-tuned machine and nothing is wasted. Seawater is even used as a natural insecticide. I was expecting a big pest.
No, the most dangerous pests are going to be the smallest pests.
When needed, seawater is also used to cool the greenhouse, trickling over cardboard pads where its evaporation brings about natural cooling. Let's see if I get it right. It's not too hard, I don't think.
Very good. Very good.
The master. Only how many to go? How many are you selling per week?
A good average over the 12 months of the year is about 5,000 kilos a week are being shipped out.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You know, we're looking at about 3.5 to 4 heads of tomato per square meter, and each one of those heads will produce one of these guys right here each week.
The yield is 15 to 30 times higher than conventional field production. So you're probably sick of them?
No.
You never get sick of a great tasting tomato.
With nature on their side and pretty tasty tomatoes, Sundrop Farms is developing a greenhouse 40 times the size of this one. It will be in production by 2013.
Getting anywhere in Los Angeles, California means you better have a car. There are more registered vehicles in Los Angeles County than in all but 5 U.S. states. That means, of course, a lot of smog and a lot of pavement. But I'm on my way to meet a man who, as a teenager, came up with this idea of turning pavement into forest. And some 40 years later, he's still at it.
I grew up here in Los Angeles and in the 50s, and it was really smoggy. It hurt to breathe. When I turned 15, we learned from Forest Service rangers that the forest was dying because of the smog. And so we took up the challenge. Get it packed in.
Since starting Tree People, Andy and his citizen foresters have planted more than 2 million trees. Are you Brian?
Yes, I am.
I'm Sharita.
Hi,
nice to meet you. It looks like you might need a little bit of help.
I would love some.
Okay, what can I do?
Grab some gloves.
6 of these. Okay, I got it. What is this thing again? I think I'm bleeding. Ready? I'm not going to the gym today. You find yourself driving around town going, I did this project. And
I try to keep it to myself, but There's a lot of trees all over Los Angeles, and so inevitably, whatever street or school you drive by or neighborhood parks, our trees are out there.
I am just a couple of blocks away from downtown Los Angeles. This whole area used to be nothing but concrete and asphalt. That is until 1990 when tree people came in here and in one day planted 300 trees. Of course, those trees look a lot bigger these days, but they're doing exactly what they were intended to provide shade and also reduce the heat that comes off the asphalt.
So today we're planting 22 trees.
They're having to play on this blacktop, and the heat's reflected, and it's like them playing in a frying pan. So we have to create safe, shaded areas, and these trees are going to grow to large, nice shaded canopies, so they're not in the sun all day.
And in addition, this is going to become a public park, which is amazing. It's a very park-poor area of Los Angeles.
2 rights. We'll make it right.
2 rights don't make a left.
I know, it'll work out. We'll figure this out. This ground is a little bit harder than
One of the reasons this is so hard is because this entire school, just a few months ago, was all asphalt. If you simply think of trees as decorations, they're the first budget to go. But when you realize they're preventing skin cancer, they're actually shading and cooling the schools. The U.S. Department of Energy calculated that these trees shading the schoolyards would save 12 to 20% on the electricity. Lift! Not so bad. It's not heavy. It's my brother. Ready?
Watch your head.
What should we name her? I'm gonna say it's a her.
We were thinking about everybody's initials.
Okay, so everybody who helped plant, let's make a circle around the tree. We'll do it loud.
Trees need people. People need trees. Welcome, ASCII!
I never would have thought that it could grow to this. You know, a dream of a kid. And now over 2 million kids have participated in our programs, and each of them planted a tree. Our biggest lesson that we teach is that it's easy to get these started, but these trees will never live without us. It's up to each of us to provide that care, that protection, so they will grow and do all the healing that we dream that they can do.
Today, more than half of us live in cities. By the year 2050, this number will rise to 70%. Already, cities use more than 2/3 of the world's energy resources, so how they develop over the coming decades will be crucial to managing climate change. I'm Sinead O'Shea, and I'm in Norway to see how its capital is planning for the future.
Oslo is a city with a very close relationship to the environment. The mountains, forests and the sea form part of the cityscape. To preserve this relationship, Oslo is taking part in the Cities of the Future scheme. The scheme, which runs across Norway, aims to increase quality of life and reduce greenhouse gases by 50% by 2030.
Public transport is one of the cornerstones of the Cities of the Future scheme. And this bus is run on a very special fuel, sewage, and I'm on my way to find out more about this. Hi.
Hello, I'm Thomas. Welcome to Oslo and the Becklage wastewater treatment plant. There in Oslo we have put the whole treatment plant inside the mountain.
Water and sewage are the main ingredients for the biofuel.
How much water is coming in there?
Now it's about 1,400 liters per second.
It's incredible.
Wastewater entering the plant is left to settle in order to form a useful substance simply called sludge.
So what happens next with the sludge is we remove the water from it, and we just pick it up with lorries and take it out to agricultural use. So it's a fertilizer. And it's in this process that we produce the methane that eventually go out to the methane cleaning plant.
Ah! It's underwear.
Yeah, underwear.
I'm feeling a bit.
Here we have everything.
And these are not the only surprises lurking in Becklage.
We're now listening to some music that was specially composed.
There's a law that says that some of the money for building are supposed to go to art.
So in the sewage plant you have this excellent contemporary music.
Yes, it's very famous.
Do you enjoy it yourself?
No, I turn it off usually.
You're joking.
This is fine art.
I know. We're heathens. This is it.
This is it. This is where we take the biogas and we clean it from about 70% to 98% methane. And when it's that clean, you can use it for fuel in buses or cars. I think they say that for each person, you can drive a bus about 50 meters.
What does it mean to you to work in a job like this?
Well, it's a good thing to work here because I know that we clean the water, and I know also that I make the air in the city better because we exchange some of the diesel buses with biogas buses. So I know I do a small part for the environment.
Oslo has recently installed a dynamic street lighting system, which allows outdoor lights to be dimmed late at night or depending on weather conditions. This saves precious energy and of course also reduces the city's carbon footprint.
We have two-way communication with all the street lights from our computer at the office. So we can dim them down in the evening and in that way save energy. Hello, Eric. I'm fine. Can you dim the light down to 30%? We have dimmed them actually 70% down.
Wow. It doesn't seem like it's 70%.
No, but it is.
Less.
That's amazing.
I really didn't notice it. How proud are you to be part of this?
I am very glad that we were starting this because I think this is the future.
Turning Oslo into the city of the future requires a lot of commitment, not least from its politicians. The governing mayor took time from his paternity leave to tell us more.
What kind of Oslo do you hope your children will live in?
Oslo is growing quite fast now. We are growing by 10,000–15,000 people a year. But I hope that they will grow up in an even greener city than I did.
How committed do you think the people of Oslo are?
I find the city of Oslo and the people to be very environmentally concerned. We started that people had to sort their waste in different fractions at home. Very few protests, and people are actually doing it very well.
Is there something different about Norwegians?
Well, they say that we are the people who follow the ice when it melted during the Ice Age. So we are very strange people. But it's wonderful because we are also close to nature and close to opportunities to be a part of nature. And I mean, if you just look around here, it's wonderful. It's not all that many cities who have areas like this within their city boundaries.
To make the City of the Future scheme work needs more than just political will. Everyone has to be involved, and this appears to be happening. The Hannebergs are a pretty typical Oslo family.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
I'm Sinead, very nice to meet you.
Come on in. We are recycling and we're trying to save energy, buy things secondhand, and we're trying to walk and use the bus and bicycle when we can.
And there are even special incentives to promote recycling.
So for returning those bottles, these guys have earned themselves 14 kroners 50, which is about €1.50, which is a very reasonable rate of return. Yeah.
Like many Oslo dwellers, the Hannebergs often get on a bus and go up to the mountains.
It's taken just a few minutes to get up here on a bus. We're in a forest, but we're still actually in the city of Oslo. And for the people here, this is what a city of the future looks like. What are these for?
When we pour the concrete in this mold, the concrete's going to flow all around these balls. And when we take it apart, they're going to make holes in the reef balls.